Hey guys, I'm walking and all bundled up, so it's not much fun to talk into the phone the other way, so I'll let you look at this tree that I was just admiring. It's kind of a nice one. Anyway, the thought that I had that I wanted to share was a little bit of a maybe signpost explanation of the mental journey that I would invite people to. And that would be when you get to that point where you have a happy moment, for whatever reason, whatever promotes it. You know, it's your surprise birthday party, or you just arrived at the beach, or you can pull a happy moment out of sitting at home watching TV. So whatever that happy moment is, some are better than others, but you get a sense of what it could be like all the time if you could live in that sort of happy state of being. But you never do. You don't think about it and say, oh, this is gonna leave me soon, this feeling. But you do know that it doesn't last, and it isn't always the same all day long. So if you're going to get to the point where your joyous moments are a little bit more joyful and they come a little more frequently, then there's some tricks you can play with. If you don't have the enticement to do that, or aren't interested in it, then no need to listen to this video. But anyway, my point is that if you're trying to create more happy moments and intensify the happy moments you have, then there's some little tricks. And one of them is that when you're feeling happy moments, that you milk them for all you can get. You get very conscious and aware of it and what's going on in your sensations, and get sensitive to what that feels like to be in that joyful moment where you have no concerns about the past or the future, and la-di-da-di-da. So then on contrast, when something's bothering you, you can feel the difference. When something happens, shows itself in life, and you say, oh, well, that doesn't really look like a nice thing. That person's suffering, or I'm suffering, or I don't feel well, or someone just triggered something about my intelligence that reminded me that I don't think I'm a very smart person, or whatever your little triggers are that put you in a little bit of a funk. Not ruins your day, but a sensitivity of, I get some sense of what it feels like to be in a funky spot, and I'm sensitive enough, and I'm feeling it happy, funky, very, very subtly throughout the day. You just become more aware of it. Helps just talking to people who are also aware of it. Listening to I listen to YouTube, but YouTube has a lot of people that talk on this topic, and you play it for a little bit, and you're like, oh yeah, that happy chase. I'm chasing more happiness in my life. Let me go do that. And you see how much time you can steal of your day for the pursuit of happiness, and realize it has nothing to do with other people, and has nothing to do with circumstances. It has everything to do with your presence in the moment and your appreciation of the moment. Now, there's little tricks that can help you get to the deeper appreciation of the moment and things like that. I sometimes like to get high before I go for my walks in the woods, but that just sort of is a little trigger to turn my thinking mind down a little bit and be like, you know what, don't think about that now. We're walking in the woods and we're high. So anyway, it is by no means a fix of something, and ultimately anything that you use to enhance something, you're going to eventually need more and more and more of it to have any kind of enhancing effect again. So unless you want to be a pothead and smoke doobies all day long, which lots of people do, chasing that I feel better when I'm high, the trick is do the least amount possible. So that you're always doing less and less and less, and next thing you know, you don't even know that you're not high, and you're just in that same blissful point just because you happen to be in the woods. And it's like, oh yeah, I didn't get high today. And it's all the same. You feel the same. But you get what I'm after. Whatever it takes to get you into pursuit of that happy place, you should take it on. And anyway, so when you're doing that, the perfect life is not anything circumstantial, because you don't know what circumstances are going to be. But the perfect life is when everything that comes at you feels delicious. And if you have things that you can feel that don't feel good compared to things that do feel good, you get that sensitivity. We were talking about it. You practiced at it, and you're trying to maintain some awareness of it all day. When you're sensitive to your breath and your emotions, then you'll be able to navigate your way to points that have triggers, that are struggles, that it's like, this is my insecurity from my childhood. I'm going to rub on that and love on that and say, I've got a gift for you, and it's called love, and I'm going to snuggle you up and tell you it's okay. And then sometimes it might even go a little deeper and being like, you know what, my lack of intelligence that my teachers told me about when I was in school, thank God my parents never really did. Thanks, Mom and Dad, you guys were great about that kind of stuff. But I think they knew innately I had an intelligence. I felt I had an intelligence. I wasn't surprised, but I knew it was not being recognized. But, when you're a kid, you're just, you want to get A's on your report card just like the person sitting next to you. So, anyway, but that would be a trigger for me. But I know now that my method of thinking discourages knowing names, facts, and figures, labeling things around me. My thinking conscious mind is very curious and can understand big concepts, but it doesn't understand or doesn't regurgitate facts, figures, numbers, names of items. That's for the small-minded. What are you going to do with that information? The real information is found in that happy spot in your mind. When you look at the world through a really optimistic view of things, stuff starts to make a lot more sense, and that can go deeper and deeper and richer and more beautiful as you get happier and happier. It's part of one of the fruits of pursuing this that I'm talking about. So back to pursuing this sensitivity to happy things, to not so happy things, is really gets down to a little tiny tug of like, what does the world want to call me to? Maybe like the tug to get me out here into the woods was a slow one. I wasn't a camping kid as a kid, everyone has a natural draw to, nature. But at the same time, between being introduced to biking, then being introduced to mountain biking, and then being introduced to riding on the trails, then introduced to not wanting to ride and race anymore on my bike, to now I'm just walking on the same trails, and I'm like, how did I get to this spot? Who threw me in the woods here and inspired me to put together this video? It's like, well, it was my innermost desire to do this and many other things that I've already done, and many things that I'm doing now currently, and many things that I'm dreaming of doing when I continue my journey. But I don't think too much about them, because I'm thinking about, am I feeling positive? Am I feeling the most joyful in the moment I'm in right now? And if not, when did the funkiness hit? What triggered it? And can we go back and clear it? No, we don't want to go back and clear it. We want to just go forward with, let's just get joyful. What's the practice? Take a deep breath or a shallow breath, just a breath, and focus on it and think about all the greatness of the things around you. And I always thank myself for showing up at this breath, at this point where I'm like, I'm still feeling a little funky, but I know I'm going to get happy in my head here any minute now. And you say, Dan, thanks for showing up. And I always come out of that feeling more optimistic. Now, I can be in the woods like I am now and really feel optimistic about a lot of things, which I do. But it's just a deeper sense of the same great feeling as when I'm working, talking to people about things that aren't as deep as this, but are important to them, and watching people grow and sharing and all that stuff is all juicy and lovely. Let's make it as juicy and lovely as it can be by seeing it as perfect and looking for the perfection and all the weirdness that's going on around you. With your good sense of well-being in your head that you really own, everything makes sense, and all the perfection of why things are struggles for some people, all that starts to make sense. And then you get an even deeper sense of, well, Dan, you've done a really good job in your life. You've done it perfectly, because there's no way to not do it perfectly, because all you're trying to do perfectly is follow whatever you want to do. So how could you be doing it wrong? It's just, are you following what you want to do towards happiness, or are you following what you want to do towards struggle and strife? I think really your deeper sense of what you want to do is to move towards happiness. So whoever told us to focus so much on all the strife around us? Well, the news, the media, the, locker room talk, the, toxic relationship that you stay in. Those things will definitely steer you away from the path of seeing everything as perfect and realizing that you can have just as much joy no matter what your surroundings are if you're good at the art of loving and accepting what comes, I guess is the way I'd sum it up. So with that, I'm going to call it a wrap and say my usual, love you guys, see ya, out.